Hi, this is Kathie from Craft with Kathie. Thanks for joining me. Let's celebrate Christmas. Think of a snow-covered landscape, crisp weather, and hot cocoa, because it's time for a sleigh ride. Today's project will be using Sleigh Ride from Chalk Couture. This is a really cute seasonal item that I'm going to use gold shimmer paste and bark. I'm thinking I'll do the outline and the wording in bark, and then I'll do the reindeer in the gold. And this is going to be done on our 18-inch gold frame whiteboard. Isn't this beautiful? I've marked the center of the board at the top here with a little chalk paste, and I've also marked the center of my transfer with a little dot at the top and the bottom, just to help me with the placement on the board. Our chalk paste are a liquid solution that goes on liquid. My little stir stick that I already stirred it up with a little while ago. A liquid solution, it goes on liquid, but it actually dries hard. I've got a couple little clumps in there. Let me stir that up a bit. If your paste becomes too thick or ends up with clumps, what you can do is spray a little distilled water in it and stir it up. You want it to be the consistency of between yogurt and a sour cream. If your paste becomes too thin, if you added too much distilled water, then all you need to do is you leave the cover off a little bit, and it will thicken up, it'll dry up. My multi-tool actually had a little dry paste on it. Probably not my wisest move there. Okay, so before we can actually apply this transfer to the board, we need to do what's called fuzzing it. This is a brand new transfer, and I've labeled it on the back with the name of the transfer, which this lets me know that this is the back of the transfer. The other side is a little bit, the back of the backer. The other side is a bit shining. I'm going to pull this back a little bit so you can take a look at that. The shiny side, you always want the adhesive of the transfer to be put against the shiny side of the backer for storage. Notice the other side is a little bit duller. And before we can actually use this transfer, excuse me, I've gotten a little paste there from my fingers, we need to do what's called fuzzing it. And the idea behind fuzzing is to actually deliberately apply lint to the back of the transfer so that the adhesive isn't quite as sticky. This allows for a little bit ease in lifting the transfer off of the surface. Now this is a rather large transfer, so I'm going to use 2 fuzzing cloths here. And gently peel the transfer off of the backer, taking care not to get the transfer stuck to itself. Then I'm placing the transfer on my fuzzing cloths. Now I gently press the transfer down on the fuzzy cloth, and then I'm going to peel it back. And I'm applying some fuzz to it. And I'm only lifting half of the transfer at a time, because that way I can assure that I'm not going to get it stuck to itself. And I'm going to lift the bottom up. Oops, just got it stuck to my fingers a little bit. I generally fuzz about 5 times for a new transfer when I'm putting it on chalkboard. Our transfers can be used on any hard surface, such as chalkboard, where it can be washed off and the chalkboard reused, or it can be put on glass or mirror, walls even. If you have a porous surface like fabric, our transfers can be used on that with, instead of our chalk ink, with, instead of our chalk paste, with our inks. And when using our inks, whatever you apply it to needs to be heat set, either with a heat press on fabric or in an oven on like ceramic or glass. Transfers can also be used on wood as long as the surface is properly prepared. You have to be careful on using it on anything porous because you don't want loose pieces of wood peeling off on your transfer. Find the center right here. To help with my aligning it on the board. And I want to use about a 2-inch border around the transfer. On the sides of the transfer, and about a 1 3/4 inch at the top and the bottom. And I just quickly measured that to know how I wanted to place this. Let's see where my dot is. It's right there. And I'm going to check my dot on the bottom. Nope, I guess I have that a little bit too high. Let's try this again. Let's see where my dot is. A little bit over. Takes a little bit of fine tuning here with the transfer this large. Okay, I have my top dot in the right spot. Now let's check my bottom. I'm way off here. Hold on a second. If you think you're hearing jingle bells in the background, you definitely are. That's Mom rolling around in her transport chair. I stuck bells on it so that it's easy to keep track of where she is. I think that's about right. I'm going to smooth out the transfer from the center to the edges, being sure that there are no air bubbles. And I do not have to firmly press it past the point of the text to the frame because there's no need to. As long as I have it nice and smooth with no air bubbles in here, There's no need to actually press to the outside of the board. That would just make it a little bit more difficult in lifting it up. I think this looks and feels good. Okay, so I think I'm going to do the center of my reindeer first in my gold. And I'm going to grab a large squeegee for this, because I have a pretty good sized area to cover here. Oops, I did not check my paste. Now this paste is a little bit too thick to use, so let me add a little spritz of distilled water and stir it up with my multi-tool. Multi-tool is great for getting under the corners of the jar. And mix that around. I think I need a little bit more water. First time I've had one of the shimmer pastes get thicken up like this on me. I suspect I left the cover off while I was working on something for a while. So you always want to cover up your pastes so that they do not dry out. And it's actually a good idea before you store your paste to give it a little spritz of distilled water on the top of the jar before you put the lid in, back on, especially if you're not going to be using that paste that frequently. Do a little bit more here. And it looks like it's getting close. The shimmer pastes almost seem like they have more of a whipped consistency than the non-shimmer pastes. Right now we have shimmer paste in gold, silver, and copper, and then a special seasonal red. It's just a little sparkle to your projects. Just a teeny bit more. I have Mom looking over my shoulder here, checking out what I'm working on. She's my biggest fan. Let's try this again. Grab some paste. I like to apply it off of the silk screen. Our transfers are silk screen and vinyl. The white is the silk screen. The turquoise, or the teal I should say, is the vinyl. And I want to use a nice, gentle motion. Thank you, sweetie. Oops, I almost got my letters there. Got a little glob down there. Oops. Let's try this here. I think I've been a little heavy-handed. Okay, so I'm going to wipe it off and return the excess back to my jar. I want to make sure there's no lines. I want to smooth it out. Put the excess back in the jar where it can be used on the next project. My mom had a stroke a number of years ago, and due to that has some vision loss on her right side, so it's easier for her to maneuver around in a transport chair. Hence the bells on her chair, so that I know where she is and that she's not going outside or getting into an area where she can't maneuver properly or whatever. So please excuse the jingles in the background. Got a little more excess there. Okay, I think this looks pretty good. Let me cover that up quickly. And here's my bark paste for the lettering and the border. Oops, I've let this sit out a little bit. It's starting to thicken on me.
Oh well. Okay.
You want to work fairly quickly. You do not want your paste to dry out. If this was a little bit bigger of a project, I'd probably be using a wet paper towel to keep my paste moist in the area that I use the shimmer gold. I'm removing the lines. Actually putting the excess around to do my border. This bark is drying pretty quickly on me.
Yeah.
If it dries, I run the risk of pulling it up, pulling the paste up with the transfer. And if that happens, all I really need to do is erase it and start over. Now, if I put the paste on a little heavier than normal, it takes it a little bit longer time to dry. And that's probably what I should have been doing here. Spending too much time lollygagging here. I'm sorry. You want to make sure you get full coverage. Okay, I'm going to scrape off some excess. Returning the excess back to the jar. Smoothing this out. Oops, a little off center there. Being careful not to hit the gold paste. If I end up getting gold paste on my squeegee and put it back in the jar, obviously I would be contaminating my paste. What doesn't hurt the paste, it just alters the color. So I think I have this pretty well covered. I think it's time for peel and reveal. Cover up my paste right there. Clean my fingers a little bit so that I can lift the transfer. When you lift the transfer, you never want to do the corners. Always lift top, bottom, or left or right. If you lift the transfer using the corners, you run the risk of stretching it as you would a fabric if you lifted or pulled it, tugged it on the bias. When you lift the transfer, you want to lift it in a 90-degree angle to your surface. And I'm going to put this in a water bath so that I can clean it up. I need to remove my little dot of chalk paste at the top of my surface. But what do you think? Wouldn't this make a lovely display for the holidays? I don't know if you could quite catch the shimmer on that reindeer, but he's beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to see more of the same, please type in "add me" and I will add you to my VIP group, where I have additional videos, tips and tricks, and specials and bundles. If you would like a little bundle of joy showing up on your doorstep for just $19.99 a month, we have exclusive transfers that are sent to subscribers of Chalk Couture. They're $19.99 a month. It includes the transfer and paste. I'm wetting this paper towel so that I could take my little dab of chalk off up here. Clean up, water and a paper towel. If you have any staining, you can actually use our board erasers to remove it from your boards. This is an example of one of our board erasers. I usually cut mine into pie shapes though, so that I could get in any nooks and crannies that I need to. And if you would like information about becoming a designer of Chalk Couture, please comment "team" and I will send you a link to a video that explains the process and the advantages, etc. to you. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful life. Merry Christmas.